Hey guys, today I'm finally found some time and energy to make my final video to end this project car repair series. Now I am going to post some repair videos on how to do some stuff that I think might help someone in the future, but those will be short clips. They'll most likely end up on YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels and whatnot. In this video, I will pretty much sum up the project completion, which stretches over a couple months and particularly over the summer and autumn. And if I were to make an individual video for each one of them, like body work and all the electrical issues that I had to deal with, um, this would be an extremely long series. Besides, there's already videos of rebuilds like this being done, so I'm not going to do that for the sake of making the videos more interesting than they currently are. Which, yeah, my videos really sucked. I've just watched all of them, and most of them are really boring. So, like always, I'm looking at videos of other people to gain some inspiration to make mine better. So in June, I finished up the welding process for the quarter panels and lower rocker panels and OEM rocker extensions I ordered from Nissan Japan a while ago. And I finished the bodywork and I cleaned it up a little for painting. Of course, I sprayed the metal with one of those anti-corrosion coatings used in inner wheel wells. This stuff is semi-rubber and sticks very well despite the surface not being clean, which is perfect in my case because it's really difficult to clean off some surfaces without using a sandblaster. Unfortunately, I don't have the setup for a sandblaster, but I'll try to make something work in the future so that it is a little easier cleaning that rust instead of just scrubbing it over and over again. As you can see on this panel right here, I got the fitment perfect on the door, and it's because I actually cut the passenger side with a grinding wheel because I got this quarter panel from a private owner. And the driver's side I cut with the Sawzall, and you can already see the difference, how it just didn't align the same. It just kind of arches, like at the bottom it's better than at the top, like it's just not very even. I did end up fixing this a little better with Bondo, but hey. The reason why I did the driver's side like this, why it was cut with a Sawzall, is because it was done at a parts yard and they don't allow grinders or anything. And by the way, that's me cutting back some of the quarter panel down so that it's less uneven, but even then it warped the metal pretty good, so it was pretty shitty. It didn't align well. There's a big hole that I had to patch, had to use some more metal. In the later stages, I fixed the wiring for the trunk, the door switch sensors as shown in this video, and rear wheel speed sensors because the connections and the part of the wiring loom that were like kind of under the frame were corroded and were just not making good contact. Um, so yeah, the wiring was a bit of an issue. Thankfully, there wasn't anything like serious. It was just annoying stuff like the trunk not opening and the door switches not working, making the lights not work. But then it was the more annoying one, which is the seat belt here, and I spent like 1.5 hours fixing it. And trying to get access to it and then actually figuring out how to get it unstuck. I did get another seat belt, which was a beige color. It really didn't match with the interior. And yeah, I did end up getting it unstuck. I am gonna make a small video on how to make it or get it unstuck if any people actually need help with that. But yeah, I guess I wasted $40 on that seatbelt. In the next month, I rebuilt the broken parts on the rear suspension. Unlike the front suspension, which is much easier to work on, the rear is a whole lot more complicated than I thought, and I decided not to swap out most of the parts like I did on the front. And it was a good move because I learned that smaller bushings don't go out as fast as the bigger ones. So I only replaced what was actually broken. In this case, it was the leaky rear shocks. The shock bushings, which were actually pretty big compared to the rest. And yeah, those bushings were literally not holding them in. And also the rear wheel bearings were showing half an inch of play on the wheel. So that was pretty crazy. Actually, I think it was more than half an inch. It was almost an inch. And yeah, this car was totally not drifted. Skipping forward a month, I got the quarter panels, hood, and fender painted. And at this point, I did rush the prep phase of the bodywork a little bit, as the finish was rough, and I think my body filler was expired, and it actually was. And even I was surprised that it was possible for that to happen. I thought body filler was indefinite, like, it can stay in a can for as long as possible. Well, apparently not. And yeah, I just had the car in primer this whole entire time. The metallic color was pretty close to the silver gray color that my car was. However, I absolutely hated it, and it looked like an average shitbox on Instagram. Unfortunately, it still is, except it's prettier and it's pink. But I'm still in the works on correcting that. I also registered the car, and it is the first week of ownership, and I had one thing break every single day. I wish I was kidding. At first, it was the audio, then some lights, then it was the driver window, and some of the more very minor things I don't even remember anymore. By the way, even after a few months of owning this shit, G, even more things broke, but I soon found out that it was getting every single common G35 problem thrown at me, and I was slowly basically fixing all of it. And here's a clip of me being really frustrated at my window not opening at plus 35-degree weather.
Alright, so this thing has been breaking on me. Every single day I go for a drive, there's one thing that breaks. So, today nothing broke, but the other day, that window works. This one?
So I was really pissed off that the paint looked like that. Like, it turned out bad, and I mean, it totally is my fault. I didn't prep it enough. And I never really done anything on such a big scale. I did like small touch-ups before, but nothing like this. So I was like, yo, this paint is so bad. Like, there's so many chips in it. Like, it's not even gonna be good for wrapping. So I'm like, how hard could it be to repaint the car? But at the same time, I kind of got laid off from the summer job, and I didn't really have that much money to paint the car. And wrap was also expensive. So what I decided to do is I ended up cheaping out on material like paint, and ended up buying um, Home Depot paint and clear coat. And I bought the 1 gallon. Yeah, it covered a lot, and it was really cheap. It was $75 for base color, and it was paint and primer in one, and then the clear coat was about the same. Actually, I think it was like $100. So for $170, like, and I already had the supplies to sand it with, like, it seemed cheap, but in the end, it turned out that the clear coat was just terrible. It did not work, and the paint wasn't much that better. So, yeah, and as you can see here, I was trying to remove the glue by using WD-40 and then hitting it with steam, and believe it or not, it actually worked. I don't know how. Separately, steam would not work, and WD-40 on its own would also not work. But combined, I don't know why, but it just worked. So anyway, I spent the next 2 months prepping and painting the car, and yeah, after every wash, the paint peels off a little more. So I'm not done with this project yet. It's a shitbox looking car so far, even with the new color. But I'm gonna redo this. I'm gonna come back to the paint and do this again. So aside from the repairs being done, I'm gonna be unshitboxing the shitbox by redoing the paint and doing it properly, actually removing the doors and all the panels. I got lazy with the doors, so yeah. And with that, I'll see y'all in the next episode of unshitboxing the shitbox, basically painting this thing.